Brooklyn Independent Television.
I haven't looked at the LP recently. I still have it from when I was a kid. You know, I had this record when I was 15 or 14. I saw this band play live in 1970 in Central Park. And I was playing the trumpet, but that was around the time I started to play. My father's Roy Haynes, the drummer. My father played in Miles' first band when he left Charlie Parker. And one of the gigs that they played was a place in Brooklyn. It was called Soldier Myers. My father had a gig with Miles. My mother, who knew Miles, came to the gig, and that's how she met my father. So that's what my background is.
When you're learning about music and when you're getting into different styles as you're growing up and learning about different sounds, and someone tells you about, oh, Miles Davis Pitches Brew, you're like, oh, I haven't checked that out. And they're like, you need to go check that out. It's like, you know, this is a very special meeting to sit down and listen to this record.
Jazz critics that critique this record based on what they think jazz is. And Miles was like, this is not jazz, so don't even talk about it in that context.
It was like really a moment, you know. It's not really rock, it's not really jazz, it's not really anything, it's its own entity. So kind of trying to get inside the head of what the music is supposed to be is a process that we're going through, you know.
I see what's happening. I see exactly what's happening. I see exactly what's happening. What it is that hit that I have written on this in that number 3, the top of page 3, that's not C over B, that's C7 flat 9. That's the hit to bring me into that line. You're not playing B, Melvin, you're playing in the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, and.
We're going to C after.
Right. 1, 2, 3, and. I'm not really interested in recreating this record as it was done, because Miles wouldn't be interested in recreating this record as it was done. There are recordings of Miles doing some songs from this live that sound completely different than this record.
The thing that's interesting about this record is the fact that so much of it was done after the fact. I mean, for instance, the song Pharaoh's Dance, I mean, basically the structure of the song was made by the producer after the guys left. There was a lot of playing, but Miles and the producer went through and took this thing that was essentially this amorphous jam session and turned it into a classic record. Miles was actually directing the music, more like a film than a record.
If you listen to it, you can really hear where they were like, you know, next section, essentially like tape it back together. And that was totally intentional. That was the whole point, you know, to make a record out of improv.
That goes to Tio Macero. He was actually like a DJ too, as well as amazing producer. You know, he heard things that these guys didn't hear, but he put it in the places where it made sense.
But then we're left with these records that were not performed live in the sequence that they were mastered, released. So the challenge is to get the structures. It's not that double time, it's half time.
I mean, so the melodies, the melodic shapes might be familiar, but it's impossible to replicate this music. It goes absolutely contrary to the spirit of what the music is all about. The philosophy behind the music is about being in the moment and projecting your ideas from the emptiness of the moment to create form and life, energy in that moment.
Bitches Brew was the beginning of something that wasn't going on before. Before this record, I played with Joe Henderson trying to do the guitar. I played with Art Blakely trying to add the guitar because of this record. And then Ornette Coleman. So this record started a whole new movement and opened up a few doors for guitar playing in jazz.
When you study the music to a certain level, the way you think, how you reason with life becomes chord changes and harmonic movements and rhythmic patterns. So, you know, I pick up a bass clarinet or I pick up a soprano. I'm giving you the history of jazz, which is coming from this point of view of life.
At that time, the whole rock, the heavy element of music was entering the brains of jazz musicians. You know, the Rhodes, the wah-wah pedals, and the amps and stuff. So it's very exciting. Like, just I want to look at the record the whole time I'm talking to you. It's like mind-expanding, sort of psychedelic.
I love this cover. Look at that. How beautiful is that? It's very futuristic, it's very imaginative, and it makes your imagination stretch and wander, which is what this music does. It makes your mind reach, you know, for thoughts other than the normality, and it makes you stretch your imagination.
The thing develops over a period of time. It's not something that you could put the needle down or you could put the CD in and all of a sudden you hear these catchy melodies and catchy things and you hear these songs. No, you know, you have to get into it and it evolves over a 10-minute period. All these songs are like 13, 20 minutes long. So it's organically moving, you know, it's morphing.
Because I love music so much and because I love giving people something positive to respond to, this type of thing for me is the ultimate. And this is a good vehicle, you know, with which to do that, because this is very personal music. So it can touch people.
Well, I'm always looking to be in that state of transcendence and be in the moment of being free and projecting whatever kind of love that can come through the instrument as possible. So when it happens, that's what we call magic.
Follow us on Twitter at BK Independent TV.